So this is an important one for me because we're going to cover some lower body pistol squat action. Now it's important because we once put out a challenge Tuesday and nobody entered because it seemed that far fewer people than I knew about could do a pistol squat. So we started playing around a little bit and we put some feelers out there. It seems that you guys want to know how to get into better positions. So we're going to break it down for you. Now the two things we're going to look at, we're going to spread this over 2 video blogs, is mobility and stability. And we're going to focus on the ankle for one area of attention, and we're going to look at the hip for the other one. And our first attack is going to be on the ankle. Now the pistol squat is an important movement in terms of showing us whether we've got mobility and stability and strength in the lower body, but it all revolves around being able to get into the right position. So we're biomechanically efficient in terms of creating the shape and the stability over the base of support that we need. Now Jacko, we've just literally walked into the gym.
No warm-up. Done
no warm-up. He wants to make that clear so that you don't judge him, but he's done no warm-up and go on.
Other than the high pull on the socks. Make the calves look bigger. That's a freebie. Optional.
So no warm-up. Jacko can do pistol squats, but generally, like most people, before he gets into them, he needs to do some prep work. So what we're going to show you what the movement is like, just rough, straight out of the box. We're going to take you through the mobility that we would do for the ankle, and hopefully you'll be able to see a visible improvement by the time we finish. So we're going to start from the ground up on this one. So Jacko's going to get into a deep squat position. Now this is important because if we can get an ass to grass squat, we can start to think about how we're going to start to distribute weight over base of support. If he can't, and for example gets limited at a partial range and just can't really get any lower without falling over, then we're going to have a problem to even get into a good position where we can hold the pistol. Now the majority of that comes from his ability to create dorsiflexion, and that's the ability of this bone here, or these bones, to move over the toe. That is limited often by how much range of motion we have in the calf and the mobility of this joint. So Jack is making a pretty good position there. If we can get this angle, we're doing pretty well. He's now going to shift weight over onto one side, try and extend the leg out, and he makes a bottom shape for his pistol, looking pretty good. Go to opposite side, Jacko, so they can see it. So shifts weight over, using the hands and arms for a bit of counterbalance, the leg goes through. All right, so we can see in that position there that we have to create a decent shin angle here to be able to get into that bottom position. So in addition to the deep squat position, to see if we can create that dorsiflexion, this is a nice little retest we can use to see if we've actually made a change to the tissue and the movement quality of that joint. So it's a knee to wall test. So we're going to find a straight surface. Jacko's going to start by placing his toe reasonably close to the wall, and all he's got to then do is just try and get his knee to touch against the wall. If he can do it, he slides the foot back a little bit, makes it a bit more difficult, and you can see what we were talking about around that deep squat and ankle position. This is just testing how much dorsiflexion we can get, whether I can get that knee far enough over the toe and touch into the wall. When he finds that limiting point, he's just going to stop, and then we can start to just use that as a marker to see where we can make some improvements and how much range we've actually got through that ankle.
Big thing when you're going forward, not letting the heels come off the ground. That means you can't create tension. Your foot's got to stay flat, and that's one of your limiting factors.
Often if that's restricted and limited, we need to do some work to free it up. So let's go to that now. So if you follow our stuff, guys, you'll know that we're really into doing some self-myofascial release or self-massage to start to try and decrease tension in the muscle and give us the opportunity to elongate or create some more extensibility through a muscle. If we can create some more extensibility through the calf at the back of the leg here, it means we can then start to get that toe further over towards the shin. And when we transfer that into a pistol squat, that means a better shin angle and more dorsiflexion. So using the foam roller, Jacko's going to just put it onto his calf onto the foam roller. We can add this leg for some extra weight. If it's super painful, then you can just take that one off. But here, we're just going to roll around until we find a point which is particularly sore, gristly, something which jumps out of the way. And at that point, when you find one of those, you just need to relax, allow your leg to sink around the foam roll, and just spend a minute or two just starting to move around that area and try to get rid of some of that tension. Now, one of the responses to pain from the body in this position is going to be to tense up. So you really need to think about relaxing the calf and allowing it to sink around. Now, for some people that might be enough. You can really start to work into the lateral and medial sides of the muscle. But we also can use a supporting function. So if Jacko finds a bit of a sore point, somebody here can help him with a little bit of additional pressure, just gently pushing down and starting to work that foam roll across the muscle.
Easy, old boy.
And if you want to go level 3, we do the same thing, but what I'm going to ask him to do is then start to pull that toe in towards the knee. So each time we're going to go 10 reps, slowly on the way back out, we find the trigger points, pull it through, and then back out, and we can just rep those through to try and create a bit more range of movement in that calf. So this is a calf stretch which we can use, and we're just going to grab a box or some weights or something which you can get enough clearance from the floor to be able to drop the heel down behind. Ball of the foot goes up on the plate or the box, and we're just going to allow the weight to sit down. You can see Jacko's using this foot for a bit of support, and then he can take that one off to let the full body weight go through that calf. We've actually got a huge amount of tension capacity in the back of that ankle and the calf, the Achilles tendon particularly. So putting a little bit of load through it is not a problem. We can start to just spend a bit of time in there, 30 seconds to a minute, just hanging out, starting to see if we can feel some of that tension relax. And that's one thing about stretching. Don't try and tear the muscle from the bone, but just sit into it. And after a period of time, you might feel like the stretch is going off a little bit, and then you can maybe just rest for a second and then drop in and try and get another stretch out there. Just another technique that you've got to start to try and create a little bit more dorsiflexion, which is going to help the bottom of our pistol. So this falls in line with our movement preparation from the framework. It's the same as what we would do for the shoulders before we're getting ready for a session. We're just starting to prepare the body for the session that we're about to do, and in this case it's all lower body focused. So we're going to use a banded distraction now, and basically what's going to happen is this band is going to help to pull this big bone, the tibia on the front of the shin, back into the socket slightly. When we get ankle dysfunction or some tightness, the joint doesn't actually lock in and rotate as quite as nice as it should do. We start to get some blocking sensation. So using the band on the tibia is going to help to pull that tibia bone back, sit it nicer into the socket, and then we're going to start to mobilize in that position. Get some more extensibility through this calf that we've already taken the tension out of and put a bit of stretch through, and we're going to try and push that knee over the toes, keeping the heel on the ground. You might go 10 to 20 reps, just starting to each time progressively get that knee further over. You can see Jacko's now starting to make a really nice angle. It's definitely going to be enough for the bottom of that pistol. If you feel like you're restricted in these areas, just spend more time and just do it over a period of time to start to get that frequency and consistency in trying to improve this range of movement. So we're going to go back into the retest. We've done the mobilization, we've done our movement preparation, so we can now use the knee to wall test to see if we've actually made a change before we even worry about getting into pistol. If we go back to this test and we haven't really made a significant change, either one, we need to go back and do some more work, or two, maybe there's something else that we need to kind of have a think about working on. But let's go back in. So Jacko's going to line himself up where he was before. He can go back in to see how that feels. Okay, we've got some good range. So then the job is now to move back again. Okay, so even there we've probably got about an extra inch in that range of movement, or the ability of that to get into that dorsiflexion. Now it's just worth thinking about some of the things that cause tightness in the calf. For the girls or Jackos, sometimes it's high heels. For generally long periods of time, sitting, previous sports injuries, lots of people have sprained ankles in the past. All of these things can start to build up and cause this increase in tension and a reduction in the range of movement. So we're back to start again, guys. We're going to look into this deep squat position and then Jacko's ability to transfer into the pistol to see if we've actually made an improvement and to see if he can make a better shape. One thing to note again, we're going to start with feet facing forwards. We're not going to be able to squat or pistol squat with the feet turned out. So that's a really important thing in terms of calf range of movement. Often when you've got tight calves and you go into a squat, you're going to want to externally rotate the feet. So get yourself set. It might feel a bit awkward to start off with, but you'll improve it through using some of these range of movement exercises. So he's into feet facing forward. He's going to drop down into that deep squat position, and then his job is to try and transfer over into the pistol. You can see that actually looks more comfortable for him. One of the key things here is the knee's looking like it's in a better position over the toe, and that other foot on the hanging leg is actually getting into a better position as well. And we've probably, if we look closely, got some better position in that low back spine as well. So from there we can start to build through. Jacko's next job is to push out of the bottom of that squat. The strength component of a pistol is actually not that difficult if you can start to get a bit of hip stability, and that is the next focus for our coming video.